Hi, it's Allie with Seattle Coffee Gear, and today we are reviewing the Jura D6. This is one of Jura's newer machines. It comes in the kind of like the silver side panels and then like a straight black, so you can choose which one you like there. It's pretty simplified, which can be a good thing or a bad thing depending upon who you are. You have a roughly 60 ounce water tank here on the side. And then it also comes with Jura's intelligent water system filter. That is a common question. One of the most confusing things about Jura's is the filter, but this is, I think, one of their better ones. It is basically, as long as you use this, you shouldn't have to descale. It'll always depend on your water hardness, but it's a really good feature to have for this machine. Put that back there. So that inserts, you tell the machine that you have it in there, and it will remind you when to change it. Also on this side here, you have a finger guard for protect your beans or your hands from getting cut in there, but this opens up and holds about 7 ounces of beans, of whole beans. You also have a dial back here to change the grind setting. I think they have roughly 5, 6 settings and stuff. Mine out of the box came more in like the coarser setting, so I moved it down. I like pretty strong coffee, so more towards the finer options, because I liked the way that turned out a little bit better. Drip tray, grounds box here, sits on top. The nice thing about it is that it can go in separately. I don't love how it comes apart just because I feel like it's a little bit more tricky than some of the other Jura machines in the designs. And not a huge strip tray, but not a huge machine either, only about 13.5 inches high, so it'll fit pretty nicely under most countertops unless you have a strange size. Cup clearance here, I think it's about 2.5 to 4.5 roughly for cup clearance. Yeah, pretty simple machine. You have your cappuccino torre here that I have some milk here on the side that I want to stick it in, ready to go. So this is your milk dial here. This is basically a shut, and then they have an open, so whenever you're ready to use that, you just flip it open. There's a nice little light that pops on. This does have some red, like LED type lights. Kind of reminds me of those like 90s alarm clocks with the wood. Do you know what I'm talking about? That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that and Darth Vader. So in this little analog dial, you have your espresso, your coffee, and your cappuccino. Those are the main 3 that it gives you to choose from on the front. And then this P button, once you hold that down, it'll actually bring you into your like deeper menu. So you have rinse, so you can go ahead and rinse out your brew spouts here, make sure there's no coffee buildup there. Buttons is where you can go for actually the full selection of drinks. So once you get in here, you're back to your espresso, your coffee, cappuccino, and then the added ones, so like a hot water and just like plain steamed milk, and then exit. So you have a few more things like the hardness, the off from, so it does have an auto off, goes all the way from 15 minutes to I think 9 hours. Let's see. Yeah, so 15 minutes, an hour, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 9. We're okay there. So units, you can switch from ounces to milliliters. And then language, and then exit. So pretty straightforward there. You also have one more button that's not illuminated here that you will see after we make our drink. This basically lights up to tell you that it's time to rinse the machine, so it's always a nice thing if you're using the milk. It'll remind you to kind of rinse that out there. And then your steam option is here. So this will light up to let you know whenever you are using steam or it's ready to steam. So let's go back out here. Go and exit. One more thing that I really like about Jura in general and some of their models, not all of their models can do this, but this one does. You can actually change the strength and things like that on the fly. So say you're preparing a drink for someone at your house, they like espresso, but they like it pretty strong, but you typically like it kind of like an average or maybe even a little bit weaker. You can actually tell the machine, okay, making my espresso, and then turn the dial and it will turn it up to the stronger setting, or turn it lower and it'll turn it to the weaker setting. So that's kind of a nice feature. You can also do more coffee, less coffee, that kind of thing. So a nice little added feature, especially if you have different types of coffee drinkers using the machine. So we've kind of gone over all of the features. One more thing that I can say, it comes with this little pouch, and inside the pouch you have your manual, things like that. One thing that I would recommend is that there's a little test strip, so test your water hardness and see what you need to tell the machine you're doing. But there's also some little tiny pieces in here, extra pieces that will go to like your steam for your milk. And I don't know if you can see this here, there's a little tiny black piece that if you're not using this milk, this covers the cap, and that is kind of important, and it's a tiny piece, so don't lose it. Keep it with your pack of other things. So set that up here. What did I forget? Bypass. It does have a bypass in the back. Your on button is also right here. So this is your bypass. It just lifts up. Toss in your ground coffee. Close that. All good to go. Yeah, also can do 2 drinks at once. It has kind of a place to put cups here, but it's not active, so it's more of like a passive thing, so not going to be super hot. Yeah, so I think we're ready to make a coffee. Today we are using the Narrows Espresso. One more thing to note is that I am actually dairy intolerant, so we are using a Barista Series almond milk today, so I don't hurt my stomach and I get to enjoy the beautiful beverage that it makes for me. So we're going to make a cappuccino. I'm going to scroll over to cappuccino and grind my coffee. I'm going to do strong, which is fine. It's going to heat now for my milk, and then you'll see the light illuminate here whenever it's done heating, and it'll tell me to kind of open the switch. Yeah, switch open. So that light came on. So I'm going to let some of that water that comes out, usually the condensation of such, and then scoot that back over there. It's looking pretty good, pretty frothy. Smells good. And then it does have a little progress bar. Yeah. So you can close it early whenever you want. I was a little nervous that I didn't set it up quite the right size for the cup, but I think it's going to be just the right amount of coffee and espresso and such. And then it's got that classic Jura pulse brew technology that they use. I think their coffee that their Juras make is always pretty good. It's always really strong. Tastes more like a true traditional espresso, which is always nice. And then I might cut this off early because I'm afraid it's going to spill. So you can hit that, it'll stop brewing where it is. Let's see here. Some nice foamy bubbles, and then whenever I tried to make this with regular dairy milk just to see how it was really nice clean foam, really micro bubbles and stuff. Just with almond milk typically is a little bit more bubbly, but it is still pretty foamy, so that's nice. Ooh, this looks good. It's actually really good. The Narrows, I've had this coffee before as espresso. It's pretty medium, kind of like a mild chocolatey thing. Tastes really good with the almond milk. It's hot, which is nice. That's definitely a plus. It's almost a little too hot for me to drink, which I think is the perfect temperature. That way, you know, for one, you don't gobble it all down at once, and for two, it'll stay hot while you sip on it. Foam is pretty good. So usually like a classic almond milk may or may not foam as well. Barista Series, they typically do some special stuff to make sure that it will foam like a more normal milk would. Anyway, it's really good. So in between drinks, you can rinse this if you want. Just go back into this programming menu here and you can hit rinse. And then M rinse is for milk. M clean is if you're going to use the milk cleaner, or rinse would be the brew group. So we are going to, or clean, descale, exit. Other thing that it can do is whenever you turn it off, usually it will prompt you to clean it. So see, I just hit the power button and it's like clean milk. We're not going to clean it, but we're going to rinse it. So it's telling me it's ready to switch on. So it's basically going to run some water through there, make sure no milk buildup happens, because a lot of times that can clog your machine or, you know, cause problems down the long road. So basically it's just going to run some water through there. And then afterwards you'd want to pull this part out and give it a rinse under the faucet, or use that milk Jura cleaner, and it's usually sticking it into a milk container of sorts with their cleaning solution, and that will run through. And then whenever it's done rinsing, close switch. It's going to rinse the brew unit here. Get all the coffee gunk off. At least you know it's thorough. Perfect, and then it turns itself off. I like it. So what do I think? What do we think? You get a lot of features for the price of this machine. I will say that is definitely a benefit. The footprint is nice. It's not going to take up too much room on your counter. Some of the Jura machines can get pretty large, so you get a lot of their features kind of packed into the smaller case. I think a downside is the drip tray. Not a huge fan of this particular design, but their other designs are usually great. So not the best fan there, but maybe you don't like taking out all of the pieces all at once. Maybe you like leaving the drip tray in there, or you like leaving the grounds bin in. You know, if that's for you, then this machine might work out. And then other things that I like, let's push this back in there. It has the auto rinse, which is nice, a nice little reminder. I do like that you can do hot water from this spout here. So if you want to do like a true Americano or tea or things like that, that is definitely an option. And I like the red on the screen. I think that's kind of fun and reminds me of those old-time analog alarm clocks, which you may or may not feel the same. Yeah, overall, classic Jura machine. Pretty nice price point. If you need any more specific specs, I would check out our webpage to find those out. But yeah, overall, the Jura D6, check it out. Thanks for watching. Like our video if you thought this information was useful. Subscribe if you don't want to miss out. And comment below if you have any questions or have this machine. Tell us what you think. Cheers.